My name is Petite, the Artsy sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra, Karina. This is Lesson 5, Part 1, Petite Malice. A couple of days passed, and it came time for class to be held again. Karina had sent by mail a copy of the city story she had given Lucian. When Lucian heard Janus comment on the matter, Lucian felt a little sad for reasons he did not understand. When Lucian saw Janus at the store, he asked, "How goes the church business?" "It's not a business," said Janus, annoyed. "Are you making a profit or losing money?" asked Lucian. "All right, so it might be one," said Janus. Changing the subject, he asked, "Do you have the packet?" "Here you go," said Lucian, handing him something from under the counter. Like most merchant families, the Uradels lived in their main store. The bottom floor was a shop, and the last two floors were the living quarters. The basement was a storage unit. Aside from selling any high-ticket items, the Uradels relied on their jewelry and watchmaking business. There was always a demand for such items in a city like Veragerung. They stood out from their competitors by working with semi-precious stones. This made the jewelry cheaper and more accessible to the upper middle class. They also got a little gimmicky with the shapes of their metals, so much so that it was almost impossible for the competing jewelers to replicate some of their masterpieces. The crowning achievement was the development of ornamental masks. Lucian's father, Lucius, had found an ornamental mask while digging a well. The mask had caused a career change for the man, and so he apprenticed to be a jeweler. He developed new metallurgy techniques and recipes while trying to replicate that mask. So far, he had been unsuccessful. So I guess this guy found like the Sacred Mask from the Sacred Mask book series.
Oh yeah, it connects.
Yeah, see, so the Saturnastra series connects to the Sacred Mask series. The story of this mask was well known, and it brought plenty of curious visitors who wanted to see it. And an approximation of the real thing was kept in a glass box on permanent display next to the counter. The original one was used to be on display, but once the mask got kidnapped. After paying a ransom, Lucian was able to recover the mask. Ever since then, it had been kept on the lock and key in a hidden location known only to Lucius and his son. Janus studied the fake mask with curiosity. When he was way small, he had seen the original version. This one paled in comparison. The devil was in the detail, and the original had far too many to count. It was a half-faced carnival mask. It was designed to be...
Oh my god, it is a sacred mask.
It was designed to be a phoenix. The ornamental feathers were delicate strands of copper. The forehead jewel was ruby surrounded by pink and golden topazes to simulate fire. One could easily spend hours staring at the mask and finding new little details to describe it, from the little engraving inside the edge of the eye holes to the fact that the casting was designed to be a perfect fit for someone's face. Lucius imagined that the mask must have been made for a pretty lady based on the shape of the face. When he was younger, he would have his little girlfriends try on the mask to see if it was a perfect fit. The one who got closest to the fit became mother to Lucian. As with most marriages based on fancies, it was a lackluster affair. Lucian was familiar with the story, and at times he even imagined that his parents were in love. The time, bro?
Yes, give me 1 minute.
This was nothing further from the truth. But there is no worse type of blind person than a man who refuses to see. Caught in the remembrance of the story, Lucian was compelled to ask, "Who is the pendant for? Suntaria?" "No, somebody new. I decided to go look for someone else because Suntaria was driving me crazy." Nag, 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 nag. "As if she was my mother," said Janus, rubbing his temple. Just hearing her name was enough to give him a headache this day. "Who are you going to give it to then?" "I'm curious," insisted Lucian. Janus opened the case, and then he said to Lucian, holding the pendant with the necklace up, "Do you think Artisha is going to like this?" "Are you really that desperate? She's older than you know," said Lucian, turning serious. The smile had vanished from his face. I don't see anything wrong. She's possibly 10 or maybe 20 years tops older than me, and that is adding more years than she appears to have. She couldn't be part elfin. Nobody frowns when a 1,000-year-old elf marries a 20-year-old human. So I don't really see why age should be a factor in this relationship, said Janus, smiling. She's your teacher, and it's against the law for teachers to seduce their students, said Lucian. Do you want her to get in trouble? The law says nothing about students engaging in courtship, and there is a statutory limitation on the law to allow for such marriages to occur. As long as the students completed the class more than 2 years ago, they are good to go, but only if they are older than 18. And the teacher has not had any romantic entanglements with the party in question, said Janus, smiling. Boy, you have been researching that stupid fancy of yours for quite a while, haven't you? Commented Lucian dryly. Since the first day she dropped the letter in my mailbox, to be exact, said Janus, smiling happily. Good for you, said Lucian. Well, off you go then. I am certain she's so going to love it. All girls like pretty baubles, and one made specifically for her pretty neck is sure to wow her. To wow even our little capricious Karina. You mean my little capricious Karina, corrected Janus. Yes, yours, said Lucian, giving a face smile. As soon as Janus turned his back, Lucian started staring daggers at him. On his way to class, Lucian pondered a bit on whether the little bauble would work. Karina suddenly took all the presents she received, but she was never seen wearing them. Some of the gossiping maidens from time to time checked the kingly royaldom to see if Karina happened to throw one of her expensive gifts away. Aside from the gift boxes, nothing else was ever seen of the present. What did Karina do with her gift? What Karina did with her gift was feed them to her little brother Ahi. If they were dresses, she would shove them into new attires that were more to her liking. If the fabrics did not suffice, she made dog clothing. At other times, she would dress other people's dogs without the owner's permission. Overnight, the pets would be sporting silly little costumes.
Wait, hold up. My little brother Ahi, you mean the dragon, right?
Yeah. That's why he has to eat the jewelry.
Yeah. I was like, in what universe is Ahi a little brother? He's huge.
Age.
Okay, yeah, I guess age.
Yeah.
And like he's huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
She would dress other people's pets, and overnight they would see their pets wearing clothing.
That actually sounds like a hilarious thing to do, just to break into people's houses and dress their pets with no explanation.
And then you wake up a bit away, like that, wearing a tutu.
Or a bee costume.
Would that be scary or hilarious?
Right.
It gave people plenty to talk about, but since there was no malicious nature to this event, it did not warrant the guards' immediate attention. Since he was lost in thought, Lucian arrived a little bit late to class. He was mortified when he noticed that Karina was wearing the necklace Janus had bought for her. Janus was the only fellow to have noticed that Karina liked orbicy. The pendant itself was made of gold. In the center there was a dandelion with some seeds floating away. The links were all perfect circle, as well as the chain link. Karina was seen often eating dandelions. She mixed the flowers and roots with her occasional salad. She claimed that the plant was good for digestion and it kept her skin healthy. It also had antioxidants, but Karina never shared this information because she did not want to overwhelm the locals with scientific information. Karina greeted her students in her usual manner. A bored mimic named Vilkar had become the usual pest. The mimic surprised all the students, including the new one, when he decided to look human for a change. In response to the skeptic's looks, Vilkar said, "Well, even I get bored of being sat upon all the time." Yeah, because he usually mimics couches. After saying this, he flopped over to the nearest couch before sitting down to take a nap. The clothing he grew was quite curious indeed. He wore a red kimono with white cloth and golden flower patterns. The sash had different color carnations. It was tied by a green rope. His hair was silky white, and while he slept, sometimes the hair trembled as if he had a life of his own. The eyes he was using were milky blue, like those of a blind man. But he could see through them. Because like, since he's a mimic, he can look whatever the hell he wants. Karina got from behind the couch a blanket. The clothing, like the rest of Vilka, was part of his body, and so he was technically sleeping without anything on. Today everyone was there. Today all of the students were there. Casimir, Miko, Janus, Lucian, Bibiso, Periwinkle, Carmeta, and Sultavia. The new person who was attending the class was Regine. As part of her punishment, she had to attend Karina's weird ethics class. Right behind Lucian followed a new face. The fellow was Letoldus, the Bruce. Whenever a class had a large gathering of people of means, he made a brief appearance. He was wearing a sign, which he removed and he placed on top of the desk. The sign read, 50% off on all tea bags. This weekend only at Chinon's Home Goods and Sundries. Letondo was not a student. He had been homeschooled by his overprotective mother. He only interacted with people his mother approved of, and since his business was dropping, he was tasked to sport an advertisement while he roamed the city. So like, he just showed up to class to spam people in a medieval fashion. You know, just holding up a sign with a discount.
I can relate to that, yeah.
Oh yeah, time?
3 minutes, 40 seconds.
So Letudo was curious and was going through a bit of a rebellious streak. He had started to go to school to promote his wares. Most of the teachers tolerated him because he was as quiet as a mouse. After the night, it was easy for people to forget that he was there. These days he was regarded as a piece of furniture in the school and nothing more. Since he was not a student, he wore journeyman's attire, which consisted of a red hosen, a long-sleeved shirt, and one overcoat. It did not scream poverty, but it was also not showy. Had the ladies bothered to truly look at him, they would have realized that he was a handsome devil, with his clean-shaven face, his strong jaw and masculine features, thick lips, and deep, focused eyes. His beauty was all hidden beneath a large mane of black wavy hair that was almost halfway down his back. He had been growing his hair over the last 4 years. He had grown from an ordinary child to a pretty boy during that time. It was his hair and his demeanor that hid this fact from the rest of the world. Karina looked at Letodos and she raised an eyebrow as she powdered her lips. Time?
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Bro?
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
She then started as thus. From what I hear, it is the Petite Malice law that seems to be landing a lot of people in hot water lately. It just seems very vague, like it deals with far too many things and how many negative actions equate jail time, said Carmeta. Well, to put it bluntly, the law is designed to punish people who are evil fustilarians, said Karina. Can you use words spoken by normal people, said Barbicel. It is allowed to punish bullies. There, happy? Sheesh, said Karina, folding her hands and looking quite displeased. She then wrote on the sharpboard that fustilaria was the same thing as bullies. Anyhow, fustilarians are a type of crazy people. Over the years, they have developed a compulsion to do small evils, even though they do not bring them any personal gain, said Karina. She then pointed to Regine. There, that's a good example of a fustilarian. Yes, piled it on. I should have expected some type of public humiliation, said Regine, raising her hands. Public? It is just odd. Sheesh, stop being a martyr, said Barbicel. Yes, but some subjects never seem to die, whined Regine. Everywhere I go, people hide their purses, as if I was some common thief. Time?
1 minute.
That is certainly a problem. Who is the person who brings it up the most? Asked Karina. The religious nut, said Regine. Now that is a problem. How is a person to return to society if the punishment sees no end to it? Asked Karina.